Welcome, everyone. It is Friday, December 20th. This is our second to last meditation together. I hope you have been enjoying them like I have. So today's O antiphon is O clavis David, O key of David, and framing it according to the Christian origin, since the O antiphons are Christian based. Jesus, the Christ, is seen as the key that opens the door to freedom. And I love that image. So I'm going to read for you Malcolm Geet's poem, or he calls it, I think, a sonnet. And then we're going to jump in to a much more neurobiological reflection on this. Even in the darkness where I sit and huddle in the midst of misery, I can remember freedom, but forget that every lock must answer to a key, that each dark clasp, sharp and intricate, must find a counterclasp to meet its guard, particular, exact, and intimate, the clutch and catch that meshes with its ward. I cry out for the key I threw away, that turned and overturned with certain touch, and with the lovely lifting of a latch, opened my darkness to the light of day. Oh, come again, come quickly, set me free. Cut to the quick to fit the master key. In a way, when I talk about portals opening up to the divinity of ourself, opening up to the immensity of the eternal, open up into the spaciousness of divine love. In a way, part of what we're doing is we're using something like a key to open a door. Now, I know this is a rudimentary image, but I think it's a nice one because it points to two things. It points to the positive aspect that in a way we are always emerging into new life. And the keys we use can be our beliefs, can be our practices, can be our attention and focus. There are so many keys, can be surrender. And they open a door. And we discover that the door was already open oftentimes, but it's an image that's evocative to us because there's a movement that happens. And secondly, with that, it also points to the fact that there are ways that we have closed doors that are meant to be opened. So if I were to think of just the spaciousness of emerging into new life, I would think of that inner capacity we have on the soul level, on the higher self level, that is always open. And we're tapping into that flow. And on the other sense of the closed door, that to me is an image of ways we have limited beliefs or limitations that we have set up as responses to our life experience, to our environment, to the lessons we're meant to learn in this life. It's very complex. So we've got both of those images going on there with this idea of opening into. And earlier in the Advent series, in fact, in the first week, we did a pineal gland meditation. And with that, there was a light explanation of what happens when we harness the cerebral spinal fluid. That was, in a way, our key, our technique, to hit upon and funnel into the pineal gland, which opens us to the experience of our true selves. So that happened through breath and through visualization and harnessing of focus. So we've got that going. Now, what I want to point to, because what that does is that lets us know that we are resourced from within. There are many, many resources that we have barely touched upon as part of our empowerment and self-growth process. There's another point of focus in the brain and the brainstem that I want to point to, and that is the reticular activating system. So that is going to be our point of focus today. And we're going to allow our learning of that move us into an experience of a pineal gland meditation that I hope will be even more powerful. But before I do that, there are two teachings I want to bring forward. The first, and I know this is like a whirlwind, we could do a whole class on this, is the Buddhist teaching of Thich Nhat Hanh, who explains in his tradition that there are 4 layers of consciousness. There is mind consciousness. This is the active layer of the working consciousness. So in neuroscience, he says it refers to system 2. If you know neuroscience, I don't. It involves the planning, the judging, the analyzing, and the worrying. It's the physical brain, and it's an aspect of consciousness. We oftentimes think it is the consciousness. That's where we get lost in our ego or our false sense of self. It can get caught in rumination. And that leads us then, of course, down a path. It does not open. It's not a key towards liberation. It oftentimes leads us down because we take it as the whole when it's just an aspect. The second is sense consciousness. And this arises through our physical senses that have been given to us: sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. And the sense level of consciousness has oftentimes in older dualistic teachings been held in suspicion, that we're meant to not trust what comes through what we see or what we smell or what we touch. And when we investigate that further, we find that that actually is quite benign. That's not bad within us, this sense level of consciousness. What leads towards oppression and contraction within ourselves is our interpretation of it, and is our ill-fated relationship to it. The third is store consciousness. And this is the third level that is, I won't give the names in Buddhism, but it is the active flowing. It is the mechanism within us that is a storehouse, and it takes in and perceives everything. The information is like little seeds, and they grow into new insights and knowledge under the right conditions. In neuroscience, this is system 1. It handles instincts and habits and wisdom, and it's always at work. It's metabolically efficient. I'm reading this from the teaching, as you can tell. It collaborates with sense consciousness without going through the mind. So I think that this is, in a way, what we're talking about as one of the keys towards liberation. The fourth layer of consciousness that Thich Nhat Hanh speaks about is manas, and that's tainted by ignorance. That is our delusions, our anger and fear. It clings, this consciousness clings to the notion of a separate self, like a vine, embracing and encircling the tree trunk of the store consciousness. So if you think of the store consciousness as the vastness of taking everything in, the manas would be like a vine around it and clinging to the separated part. So what we're doing when we open the doors, we're dissolving the vine and becoming the trunk. All right. I think that's you can Google that for a deeper reflection. But I wanted to situate that because I want to give you the vantage point of store consciousness. And that's what we're going to move into here with the reticular activating system. So most probably the reticular formation and the reticular activating system, if you're like me, you may have reduced it to it influences our sleep, because it's true. If there is a malfunction in the reticular formation, it can result in narcolepsy, sleep insomnia, and all sorts of sleep issues. It really does regulate what we call our waking state and our sleeping state. But it actually does much more than that. And the reticular activating system, which is connected to the limbic system, or the pineal gland, and the other things that I pointed to in our last talk in the first week of Advent, it is also involved with much, much more. Now I'm going to do a screen share with you so that you can take a look at what we're talking about here. All right. So I'm going to do three videos. Okay. So the reticular formation and the reticular activating system is a collection of neurons. And you can see that red highlighted. It's only like, I think, 2 inches long, they say, but it looks longer there. You can see it's connected to the spinal cord and it projects out through the brain. Isn't that interesting? And what's interesting is the reticular activating system collects all the information of all the senses except smell. Another interesting little, I don't know, a little tidbit of information there. So I wanted you to get that visual, and now I'm going to share another visual with you. All right, let's do this one. Okay, so here's a little bit of a more detailed view there. And these neurons, as they process everything, they are a bit like part of the heart of the store consciousness. You can see here, connects to the brain stem, regulates the levels of consciousness and alertness and wakefulness, and it filters sensory pathways, and it also arouses the cerebral cortex. So you can see from this diagram, again, a little bit more detail. Right? And then I'm going to do one more share. Okay. So here you see another more rudimentary, you can see where the pituitary gland is and where the reticular activating system is. It's very, very close to the pituitary gland. It bleeds right up into that limbic system. So it's in the sea of all of that. And it influences it all. All right, isn't that fascinating? So I want to then lay out to you 4 ways that the reticular activating system is involved with our relationship with ourselves and our reality. Since it is a set of neurons, it is always firing. It's perceiving and firing. So it's not like an organ that has its own processing. It's actually a network of neural pathways that are actively involved with our reality. The first has to do with attention and selective perception. What does that do? So it plays a very crucial role. So where we place our attention, it's going to help us have selected perception. So the obvious way of this is if you're at a big party and everyone's talking and there are all these conversations, it gives you the ability to focus in on one conversation and be there. That's one of the positive aspects of it. However, it also reinforces where your attention is. So internally, if you are driven with an intention, maybe you're addicted to some thought, or maybe you're caught in some emotion, it's going to actually filter out things that are other information and keep the focus on everything that keeps you in that selective perception. That's pretty powerful, right? Well, it also goes deeper than that. The second way that it's involved has to do with belief formation. It helps form the beliefs when we're younger, and it helps reinforce them through confirmation bias. So our beliefs are our ingrained mental perceptions about reality. And our beliefs shape our thoughts and our behaviors and our emotions. So the RAS contributes to the reinforcement of our beliefs. So if we believe we're unworthy, the RAS is going to seek out and interpret information in a way that reinforces that. So we talk about manifestation consciousness. The RIS is very involved with that. The same, though, with a belief that we're stepping into that's new, hence the surrender. The RIS can help us open up to new information that's right there in our field that we failed to perceive before. It's a second way. The third is it's an emotional filter. What does that mean? Well, since there's neurons are firing right in the limbic system is the processing place for emotions. So, in addition to what I shared about the pineal gland, it's also taking everything around our emotions and processing them. So, it is going to contribute to our emotional state. Let's say we are feeling joy. Our RAS is going to filter our reality to reinforce that joy. Let's say we're feeling anxious. RAS is going to seek out information in the field that will reinforce that anxiety. Now, I know this can be scary because what if you suffer from depression or anxiety? You can say, oh my gosh, I'm doomed. I'm cursed because I feel anxiety so deeply and I don't know how to feel anything else. And now my RAS is reinforcing that. It's the opposite. In having this information, you can begin to cultivate the practices that get you in touch with other emotional states. Now, I'm a big meditation teacher. I think that's the most powerful way to do that. But what happens is when you step into practices like meditation, and we're going to do breath and guided visualization in our practice today, when you step into that, then you actually will have the RAS supporting you. It's there to support you. It will support wherever you want to go. And then the last one is attention and visualization. It is going to support this. Now, that's another capacity than our emotional state and that our belief formation. So those can be a little bit more in the subconscious. Where we put our attention and visualization, we're making something conscious. So when we visualize directed outcomes, we harness the RAS to shape what? To shape our beliefs, to shape our emotional states. See how complex this is? So I've given examples of research, but you can find many more examples of research that when they have looked into visualization. So let's say I visualize myself playing the piano every single day for a solid hour. I will increase my capacity to play just as much as if I physically did it. That's how powerful attention and visualization is. And it's never too late to start. Never too late. We can feel that, oh my gosh, for 70 years, I have been thinking this way. This just is who I am. If you choose that, you choose that, but let's make it conscious because you can choose something different. And you have the capacity to change like that. How we do it is by addressing all four of these areas and allowing the reticular activating system through its neuro firing to support the limbic system. It is a key. Now we're going to use a key to help the key open the door. So if we look at the RAS as a key and the reticular formation as a key, we're going to use the key of meditation and visualization and breath to be the key that opens the door. All right, so let's jump into our practice. This is kind of fun, isn't it? It's fun to bridge the spirituality, the philosophy, and the neurobiology a little bit. So before you close your eyes, bring to your attention something that you have as a desired outcome that you're not realizing yet. It could be small, it could be big, it could be life-changing. Everything's life-changing, but it could seem life-changing or it could seem trivial. Nothing is too small. Bring something you desire, something you really desire. All right, now close your eyes and bring your attention to the breath. We're going to begin by just keeping the attention on the breath and on the neck and head. If you can, just imagine, you can pull up in your mind the pictures I just showed, the images. Just picture or imagine or feel the spinal column, the reticular activating system, the limbic system. And this is again all connected with the Ajna chakra and the third eye. So, whatever way you want to come into contact with it, just be in contact with it and breathe. All right. And if you can, keep the focus there for a moment and let or imagine that these parts are lighting up, that vibrationally speaking, your breath and attention are allowing them to light up. All right. And now, with that lighting up, let whatever your desired result or desired outcome that you recognized, let it let it come into your attention right there in that head and the throat area. Almost like you're just positing it there. And simultaneously let go. Name what you want and let go. All right. We've taken step one. Now, step two. Keeping the focus on the breath, we're going to slowly push the cerebral spinal fluid up like we did in week one. You're going to start by contracting everything around the base chakra and the abdomen. Just contract as much as you can and imagine that you're pushing fluid up the spine, breathing into it, contracting and pushing up, and then moving into the diaphragm and pushing that cerebral spinal fluid up and contracting the torso and the shoulders and the chest, the mid and upper back, almost like you're squeezing a tube of toothpaste. Breathing, 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 pushing up, 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 up through the neck and up into the RAS and the limbic system. And then after the next inhale, hold the breath, contract the whole body. Keep holding until you can't anymore, and then relax. And release. Let's do it one more time. Contract in the buttocks and the base of the spine, up into the intestines, the low back, the diaphragm, pushing the fluid upward, letting the breath pool up. Every inhale pulls up and the body contracts inward, pulling up through the torso, up into the top of the throat, up the spinal column, up into the limbic system and the RAS. And after the next inhale, hold. And relax. And one last time. Do it at your own pace. I'm not going to even offer you any guidance. Just begin at the base of the spine and work your way up until you're inhaling and holding your breath. Push the fluid right up into that limbic system. And relax. Great. Now, when you're ready, holding your surrender and your desired outcome with lightness, bring your palms together in front of your heart and open your eyes with namaste. Namaste. Have a wonderful weekend. Great to be with you.